it is okay to feel indignant for yourself after an interaction that you've had. No matter how much personal development you've done, no matter how much you see your own role in what happened, that indignation is important. Hey everyone, I'm Sonia, and on this channel, I strive to give you tips and strategies for living your best life. So, let's talk about something that might come along in your journey of personal development as you've made strides in understanding your own triggers, reactions, the lens through which you view things. You might realize, as you do this work, that it's not the whole story. So as you start to realize your role in things and you take responsibility for that, it's beautiful because often that's how things change, right? It changes things when you can understand that you may not be seeing the full picture. However, let's say you have an interaction, let's say it's with your significant other, and something happens, maybe they say something that triggers you, maybe it's something they're disregarding that's important to you, or you feel like they're disregarding it, and you feel indignation. Or maybe it's with someone else, someone just out there in the world, and you know that they, don't think, they aren't even like so much thinking about you as they're upset about something else, but they say something rude to you. It's absolutely fine to feel indignation and to feel self-protective for yourself and to feel like you are your own ally. So I want to really emphasize that that is important, that you have that sense of being self-protective, of being on your own side, of being indignant for yourself like that. That's important. It doesn't mean anything too specific about what you're going to do. Okay, it's related to it a little bit. I'm going to get to that in a moment here. But that feeling of being on your own side is important. And I think it's very easy when we are on the personal development journey, or we understand other people's psychologies better too, both, right? When we're understanding our own role and when we're understanding other people's psychology, to feel like we shouldn't feel that way. Oh, we'll either just understand where they're coming from, or like I said, in the case of a stranger, maybe we're understanding, okay, it doesn't really have to do with us. In the case of someone else, if we do have more of a role, we feel like, oh, okay, but I see I'm being reactive here, that kind of thing. But that doesn't have to mean that initial reaction of being on our own side is wrong, okay? So both things can coexist. So what does it mean though? Like, let's say we let ourselves feel that indignation. Hopefully we do. And we notice it. So I think a great thing to do there is be like, I'm feeling self-protective and not feeling bad about that, right? Feeling like, okay, that's a good thing. I'm being my own ally here. But the key then is to take it to, I'm going to say kind of two phases. So the first phase is more of a reflective phase. So that would be where we still investigate. What is my role in this? How am I seeing it through a particular lens? Am I still seeing it through old patterns? Doing that work, and sometimes that comes very quickly after a long time in personal development, and sometimes we need to take longer if we're not quite sure why. Doing that work is still really important. So you can feel that indignation, but you can also double check that. And then a very, very key point is not lashing out in the moment. So feeling the indignation doesn't mean acting on it through our words or actions, right? So allowing the feeling and then going into the exploration. And the good thing is when you've done this more and done sort of that pause of reflection, however long it is, before any action or words, you get used to that. And so you trust it also. You trust that when you allow that feeling in a sense will be justified because you're going to explore it and you're going to see what's going on and you're going to follow through. So that doesn't mean lashing out, but it does mean that you know and trust that something's going to change because of it, or something will be examined and processed through. Okay, so there's that phase of reflecting, sort of seeing our own role. But part of that too, I want to point out, should be, because we got to make sure that this personal development journey doesn't, and this can happen a lot for people pleasers and, originally anxious preoccupied people in particular, that it doesn't turn into like, okay, well, I still have all the responsibility now. We're still tiptoeing around other people. because we see our own role. So we're just taking on even more as our own thing to change. And we're not asking for something to change from the other person. Okay. So maybe with a stranger in the street, we're not going to bother with us if we're never going to see them again. Right. But let's say it's someone we saw more regularly and we did want to say, hey, could you not speak to me that way? You could. Let's talk about, though, that case where it's someone closer to us, like the significant other. So it's absolutely important to still make sure you come back to that person and to that interaction, asking for what you need and asking for what you want and need, right? Both. So this is like part of this taking yourselves into account, and that's essential. I mean, that's why I was saying it's actually good that you're feeling that, because you want to be your own ally, because a huge piece of this, besides seeing something you need to change in yourself, is seeing something that you might want to ask for change from someone else around, whether it's a boundary setting, whether it's a need that you're asking for. So remember that, yes, you have reactions and patterns, but so does that other person. So really, you're coming together to try to create a solution that works for the both of you. And that most definitely includes yourself. And if you're still struggling with that at all, remember that that is key, right? You can't have a long lasting, really good, healthy relationship without you being a piece of it and what your wants and needs are as well. And ultimately, this leads, I believe, to the relationship actually being the focus in a way. It's not like you versus the other person. It's like you both trying to figure out the solution for the relationship. You're both part of that relationship, of course, right? So it's doing it for each other and for yourselves as well. But it just takes that focus, I think, off of like you versus them. And I know that that can sound like you versus them when we have that first spark of indignation for ourselves. And it could go that way, right? It would go that way if you didn't do any reflection or if you lashed out from that place. But instead, that can be that piece of that triad that's you taking account of yourself, which is going to be a good thing for the overall health of the relationship, and very good for you going forward as well, in terms of your relationship with yourself and with how you want to live your life and having your best life in relationships. So hopefully that all made sense. Please put any questions or comments down below and let me know if there's any other topic you'd like me to cover.